I am so excited to craft with you and to make this felt flower hoop art that we're going to use as an ornament to decorate or gift. It's super fun. We just start by undoing the little hoop and then laying our 2 layers of fabric. I have the front fabric and then a layer of backing fabric to give it a nice, secure, tight, foundation for our felt flowers, and so nothing shines through. I positioned the fabric however I want to. Like for this nutcracker fabric, I want that little nutcracker to show at the bottom and that little dancer. So I just kind of check to make sure there is enough fabric on each side to bring it back around the hoop, because we're going to hot glue it around the hoop here in just a second while still showing the part of the pattern that's my favorite. So I just kind of pay attention to that and then pull it tight. Now my fabric was a little bit wrinkled, but once I start pulling it tight and secure the hoop, those wrinkles disappear. So that's a nice benefit to pulling the fabric tight. And if this hurts your fingers, you can use some pliers, but I'm just checking to make sure that there's not a little dip or dent left in my fabric. When I touch it, I want it nice and tight. So after I get it as secure as I want to, I bring my scissors around and just leave a little bit of an edge, enough to bring the fabric around the inside of the hoop, but I don't want it too much. Like I don't necessarily want it to lay on the back of the hoop. I just want it to bring it around the side of the wood. So if it's too long, it will be too bunchy. And I am just using hot glue. I put hot glue right there on the hoop and then bring around the fabric. And this will mainly just secure the backing, the first layer of fabric, and then we'll need to go back around again and apply more glue to secure that second layer of fabric, which is our outer nutcracker fabric or whatever fabric you're using, because this tutorial applies to all the different hoop patterns, even though your fabric may look different. So I'm just putting glue where I want it and just smoothing out any bumps. And I know there's other ways to do this, but this is just the easiest for me, using the materials and the tools that we have on hand for our felt flowers. And I am happy with the finished look. If you want to finish it out just a little bit more, you can always add some ribbon along the inside. That's the kind of an optional step, and that ribbon's not included in the kit, but you could always do that, of course. So for the flowers, I have a recommended kind of color palette and combination in the picture, but you can always change that up. So this mint goes really well with the mint and the nutcracker pattern, and then the white flowers are what I chose for the darker set of ornaments. So whichever one you have, you can kind of look at the picture and reference which flowers I use on which pattern of fabric. So for the rolled rose, we just start at that outside edge and just roll a little bit and then put a little bit of glue along the bottom and roll a little bit more. You don't need a solid strip of glue. You're just kind of adding it here and there to make sure it's nice and secure. And you go all the way down. We're working towards the center of that rolled rose shape, which is the back of the rolled rose flower. And when I get to the back, before gluing that very end on, I like to trim off these little points from the shape, and so it's nice and flat, and I can just bring that back around and over, and it gives a nice finished look for this flower. And then we'll go on to the other ones. So this is our finished rolled rose that we can put to the side. Grab our strip and just put glue along the length of the strip, fold it in half, and then we're going to snip along this folded edge with our scissors, putting the tip where we want the snip to end, a little bit more than halfway, and you can see here about how deep and wide I made those little slits. But you can't go wrong. It looks good any way you do it. Put glue along the bottom, roll it up, keeping that flat, and then we'll be ready to add that to our arrangement in just a minute. So we're going to go on to this next little blossom, and we just put a little dab of glue in the middle and fold it in half. And this is a fun little accent flower that's going to peek out from behind our rose and add a little splash of texture there. Now the other flowers are just laying flat, so we don't have anything else to assemble. We just have this arrangement to figure out how we want it to look, and you can just play around with it, lay it out, see what you like before gluing it on. And then when you're ready to glue, you just bring them back on and glue as you go. So for the leaves, I like to start with the leaves. I do a little dab of glue, and the reason I'm just doing one little dab is because I might change my mind and pull it off and move it. But for now, I'm just securing them there, then adding the flowers in the way that I decided to arrange them. So just a little bit of glue and then stick it on there, and I'll go back here in just a second and add more glue to the tips of those leaves to make sure they're nice and secure. So like I said, you can kind of choose where you want your arrangement to be based on your fabric, or you can follow my guide and the pictures that are provided in the kit. But I love working with fabric. I think it's such a fun addition to our felt flowers and adds just another layer of interest and beauty in the design. So for the ribbon, we just loop it through, tie a knot, and all of the ribbons in your kit are the same size. They're all 10 inches, so I'm just tying a knot at the top of that, and then I'm going to come back and do a bow in my other ribbon. So we have 2 per ornament. I do 1 loop, 2 loops, and then just bring these around and bring one side through the hole where my pointer finger is. And this is the way I like to tie a little ribbon for an ornament like this. I'm not a bow expert, but this works really well for me, especially since the ribbon is the same on both sides, so we don't have to worry about positioning the ribbon perfectly to where one side is showing. This is a double-sided ribbon, so that's my secret to good bows for me. Because I like choosing double-sided ribbon that is the same on both sides, and the lighter can help us with any of that that's unraveling. This is optional, but if you just want to quickly just tap that and make sure that you're careful, of course, but that will keep it from unraveling. Then we just glue the ribbon right where we want it to go. I like it right here at the top of the ornament, and we are finished and ready to display our ornament. So thank you so much for crafting with me. I am always happy to answer any questions that you may have.